Well, Australia line up here in the final of the women's lightweight quadruple sculls, seeking a hat-trick of successes.
Attention.
As you can hear from the church clock in the background, FISA running the regatta to time.
They got away well and clear there. Interesting that China have got Quan Li sitting in the bow seat. She was their lightweight single sculler yesterday, and she's now settled into the bow seat there of this lightweight quad. So watch out for them.
Germany at the top of the picture, then just lagging a little bit the United States. Three from the top are the Netherlands, then China. Easy to pick out in that brown and white boat. Two from the bottom are Australia and Denmark. Australia take a few strokes to find their rhythm usually, but really, again, a little bit like the Romanians, look for their power in the middle thousand.
Yes, Australia are always very well drilled. They, both their men and their women, and particularly lightweights, very well drilled, good technique, very effective, pick up the strokes nice and long forward. Always very nice to watch them. But it's Germany who sit a bit more upright there, who are much quicker on the legs there, and they are leading the field at the moment.
It's a crew of debutants from Germany, really, but the Australians who've just gone through there, they include the stern pair of Miranda Bennett and Margarita Houston, who were winners of the gold medal a year ago. And so they, with their coach Adrian David, the Romanian who's been over in Australia for a few years now, they provide the experience for their teammates Sally Newmarch and Bronwyn Watson, who are not without experience.
Yeah, the sculling events are always very, very competitive at lightweight women's rowing, because they have the carrot there of a double scull slot at the Olympics, the only lightweight women's event in the Olympics. So the sculling events are always very competitive compared to the rowing events, and you can see it here. They are very, very technically accomplished, and that's Li there in the bow seat, and China just beginning now to take over the lead there.
Yeah, this is quite interesting to see the Chinese throwing down the gauntlet here, not intimidated by the Australians, who incidentally also, of course, were one of many who set world best times last year in Seville. And obviously, Dan, with the Beijing Olympics, albeit 5 years away, already China beginning to think ahead. And, of course, the biggest shock came 10 years ago in the Czech Republic when the German women's quad, the heavyweight quad, was actually defeated by the Chinese.
Yes, that was a big surprise. That was the only time that Germany has ever lost the quads at women's quads. They had never lost it, whether they were East German or West German or combined. But China obviously wanting to set out their stall for the Olympics in Beijing, and they will be making a big effort here to produce athletes, not just here, but right across the board in all sports. They will want to perform well in 5 years' time in Beijing. So this perhaps then is their leading crew at the moment, and rowing very well, very long, and showing some very good styles. We'll see some very good Chinese double at the Olympics next year.
Just wonder what the Australians are making of this, Dan.
Well, the Australians just slipped back off the pace there a bit. They wouldn't have been expecting that. This is certainly one of their good crews, but they are getting into the picture there. They've moved now into second place, but there's still a lot of pressure coming in there from the Netherlands.
And then there's a little gap back to the United States and Germany and Denmark. At the moment, the Danes at the back of the field, but this is still a length of clear water, and it does give the Chinese a very strong position. Zhu in the stroke seat there. She'll have to keep her eyes left and right here to look for the challengers. To her right, she's got the Netherlands. To her left, she's got Australia, but they are still looking very, very confident here, and the Australians have surely got to try and raise their game now. They can't leave this to the last 500, surely.
No, I think Australia finding it a little bit hard. It looks a little bit heavy compared to what you'd expect from an Australian crew. Usually they're lively, usually their boats are moving well, but it just looks a little bit heavy as they go through the 1250 mark.
And I guess this must be just harder for the Chinese to develop their crews because of the distance they are away from world-class competition.
Well, they do have quite good competition down in Southeast Asia. They've got Australia, New Zealand, and they've got Japan there. Also good competitors in men's rowing more than women's rowing. But this Chinese quad is looking very good indeed. But watch the Netherlands. They've moved now back past Australia, the reigning world champions. They've moved into second place, and there's a real battle on there now for the silver medal behind China, who look well clear as they move away now, coming up to the 1500-metre mark.
Yeah, Julian van Os for the Dutch leading the charge there. She was in the boat a year ago that took the silver medal position, and that angle quite deceptive because the Chinese have still got a commanding advantage. There's a clearer view of it, and you can see the Dutch at the top of the picture, the Australians closest to you, and there's not very much between the two. Australia maybe just ahead at the moment. The United States not with completely out of it, but they're going to have to really raise their game. Don't worry about that graphic because it really isn't a true reflection of what you can see out there on the water. What you can see, though, is that the Chinese are absolutely storming away. They've been the fastest four right the way through the 3/4 of the race, and even if the others quicken up, they're never going to close this gap.
No, they're winding it right up now. They're 36 strokes a minute, and they've moved well on. The boat bouncing a little bit, but it's the Netherlands who've really taken up the chase, beginning now to show ahead of Australia. Australia slipping back there, with the United States trying to put on pressure from 4th place.
So the Dutch now taking over in the silver medal position, and it's Australia and the United States. United States moving quickly on the far side there. It's all about silver and bronze. One of these crews is going to be unlucky. One of them's going to be disappointed. Meanwhile, the Chinese going further and further away, and this is a remarkable performance because, Dan, I was talking earlier in the race about that famous victory in 1993. If my memory serves me right, this is going to be the first senior gold medal for the Chinese for 10 years.
Well, they've never been a force on the international rowing scene, but they do study form carefully, and certainly in the lead up to the Olympics in 5 years' time, they are leading the way here, certainly in this event.
Well, they got their assessment absolutely spot on here in the final of the women's lightweight quadruple sculls. China take the gold, Holland will get silver, and who gets the bronze? Oh, just the Australians ahead of the fast finishing Americans. So a really tight affair there for the minor medals.
As they cross the line there to take the silver medal, and the Australians only just really held off the Americans there for the bronze.
But a really steady race by the Chinese. 1:36.99 for their opening 500, then 1:39.71, then 1:39.73, and they brought it home in 1:40. An excellent performance, and Tricia Smith with the honour of presenting this Chinese women's four, who, as you can see, are absolutely delighted with their FISA World Championship gold medals. And we're surely not going to have to wait another 10 years for the next gold medal. More importantly, I wonder which of these women, or indeed which two of these women, might seek a place in the Olympic lightweight double scull for next year's Olympics.